Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab S 10.5. This 10.5-inch Android tablet is priced at $499.99 for 16 gigs of internal storage and $549.99 for 32. It comes in two different colors. You can go with white or the titanium bronze. This is the white version of the tablet, and in terms of specifications, very similar to right now Samsung's existing Pro lineup, their top tier as well as Note tablets, when it comes to really making sure that you have best-in-class hardware. The key difference here, much like the Tab S 8.4, is the fact that you're getting a Super AMOLED display. So you still have that 2560 by 1600 resolution that has become pretty much standard for Samsung's high-end tablet lineup, but you're now getting a Super AMOLED. And for those of you unfamiliar, this is the first commercially available 10.5-inch Super AMOLED ever made. So this is really a very unique product, and much like the Tab 8.4S, I would say a game changer in that this is the beginning of hopefully a large-scale adoption of AMOLED displays beyond just the smartphone industry, where they've been relegated to because of cost constraints for many, many years, as well as just profit motive. But I'm not going to go off on a tangent. In terms of the hardware, you can see, of course, the display I just mentioned, which, by the way, is larger than the previous generation. For those of you that noticed, we have moved to 10.5 from 10.1. So we do have a little bit more pixel density, besides the fact that we are getting the best display on any device, forget about tablet, on the entire market. In terms of processor, nothing new here. This is Samsung's own Exynos 5 octa-core chip. So you've got an A15 quad-core processor clocked at 1.9 gigahertz to handle all of the tough stuff, and then a lower-powered 1.3 gigahertz quad-core chip for the light tasks. In terms of other features, infrared blaster, you already expected that, dual band, Wi-Fi, 802.11 AC connectivity, Bluetooth 4.0 GPS. You've also got an 8 megapixel rear cam, as well as a 2.1 megapixel front-facing webcam, a fingerprint scanner, much like all of the now upcoming Samsung top-tier phones. Of course, the S5 was the first device to introduce a fingerprint scanner for Samsung. 3 gigs of RAM, which is the top tier right now, at least for the mobile sector. And then in terms of battery life, you're looking at somewhere around 10 hours is what I would estimate with this device. So let me get it out of the box, and let's actually take a look at what we're getting here. And again, the selling point is really all about that display. When I look at any other device on the market, including Samsung's own previous generation, there's just nothing that you're going to be able to compare to this. And this is chiefly aimed at the iPad, much like Samsung's own Galaxy S5, which has outsold the iPhone. Ironic that this is upside down. Point that out. They weren't too careful when they put this together at the factory. You can see, as nice as the packaging is, much like on the Tab 8.4, it's actually upside down. But still nice that they did this. They've ditched the plastic for a much cleaner look. Let me go ahead and get this out of here. And basically what we're expecting, as I keep mentioning, I'm looking for the seam here on this, is really just best-in-class performance combined with that best-in-class display. This is proving more difficult to take off than the actual plastic that generally is on there, but here we go. And they still left a little bit of plastic. You can see some of it coming off here around the side of the tablet. This is actually sticking to the display, which is less than ideal. Let me get that out of there. But there you have it. White, not my personal favorite color. But you still have physical buttons, which really, in my opinion, is still a nice thing. It doesn't eat into the screen real estate. Same applies to the Tab 8.4. The 2 megapixel front-facing cam, as well as the light sensor up at the top of the device. Your home button, back button, multitasking button, and then essentially very thin and light. That's why this really is taking on the iPad Air squarely. Right there at the top of the device, you can see we have our infrared blaster, power button right here, volume rocker, and then if we flip the tablet around, we have on the right side one of the two stereo speakers. Let me bring that into focus. May have to get the box out of the way there. And we then have the micro SD card slot, which I mentioned does support up to 128 gig cards. So if you want to pick up a micro SD card right now, 64 gigs is pretty much the sweet spot on pricing, but 128 gigs is available and far more realistic than ever before. Your micro USB port right there for charging. I wish they had gone with USB 3.0. I'll mention this as a criticism for all of these brand new tablets that don't have it, frankly, because Samsung has set some expectations for me personally as well as for many other customers with regard to making that transition. They started that with their smartphones, no reason that it shouldn't carry over. A pinhole right here, which is a microphone, I believe, and the other stereo speaker and 3.5mm headphone jack. On the back of the device, we have that 8 megapixel camera and the same textured finish that we have with the S5, but it's not quite as rubberized. LED flash to complement that 8 megapixel camera. These two little buttons right here are for the custom fit case designed for the Tab 10.5S here that we're looking at. The 8.4 also has the exact same design. So that pretty much rounds out what you should expect on build. So very thin and light despite the fact that it has a 10.5-inch display. And let's go ahead and power it up and see what that Super AMOLED looks like if we have some charge, because this is what it's all about. I did create a nice little thumbprint there, but still, really, the build quality with Samsung when it comes to tablets, in my opinion, you know, they do employ a lot of plastics, but at the end of the day, they're some of the most sound in the business, and they should be. They're really manufacturing more than anyone else. Let me run through this. We're going to just skip everything. Got to accept. And the Super AMOLED is really why you would buy this tablet. I would prefer to have a Note version, no question about it. I'm the first to completely admit that. That's the device I would personally wait for, but considering I've been waiting a decade to see a device like this, I can't really complain. And that's because when you look at other tablets, the most important element is, in large part, the display you're interacting with. And here, you even have Samsung's multitasking now. Whether or not you're going to enjoy the software experience is a matter of personal preference. This is KitKat, but of course you have the magazine UX overlay, a TouchWiz experience that is, you know, akin to Flipboard for the most part, with heavy skinning. And some people will love it, some people will hate it. But there's that Super AMOLED, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, already, just in getting it out of the box, you're seeing what I'm talking about. And this is what makes the Tab S lineup so compelling. So, if you're concerned about the hardware and how it's going to perform because you're not getting the latest, quad-core chip, you're getting something that's been around, that's not why you're buying this. I'm not going to say we've hit a wall in hardware because it's tough to do. Granted, you can make that argument, but there's certainly more than enough capability here to handle everything and anything you could possibly want to do between that processor, 3 gigs of RAM, and the Mali graphics chipset that it employs. And then when you've got the best display in the business, which right now I can tell you it absolutely is, this thing is stunning. I don't know how you can go wrong. It is expensive, as is the Tab 8.4, no question about it. So you are paying for what you're getting here. But if your display is going to be the one area that you're going to want the best you can possibly achieve, this certainly looks like it right now. We've got the resolution, we've got the actual display type that's been refined over the years, I might add. Many people used to critique Super AMOLED as being too high contrast and colors being oversaturated and blown out. Samsung has really got this to just about as good a spec as anything when it comes to accuracy and reproducing whites. And they don't do any of the substandard things that have occurred with Super AMOLED displays over the year. Motorola did some things, in older generation phones that didn't fare that well when compared. It gave people negative impressions of the technology rather than the positive ones they should have had. Stock software I'm not going to get into today, but if you're a Samsung user, you already know what to expect. The Fingerprint Reader is really a matter of personal preference. That certainly wouldn't be, in my opinion, one of the more important additions to this device. But it's nice to have if you do enjoy using it on your S5. And Samsung does want this to be a perfect complement to the S5 lineup. After all, it is the Galaxy Tab S. So it does represent their flagship best overall tablet offering that they've got. And that's why it sports the best display on the market of any device ever made. So really excited to share this with all of you. Again, this is the first commercially available 10.5-inch Super AMOLED, or AMOLED I should just say, display ever made. Forget about how high res it is. So really, I'm just overwhelmed, if you haven't noticed, with the fact that I've finally got something like this in my hand. And this is, just the beginning. And that's what I really appreciate about this, is that no other manufacturer has taken this step. We're going to eventually see laptops, televisions, and they will be affordable, much like this is now in the same price range as what we would traditionally get just a regular LCD for. So this, in my mind, right now kills every other tablet on the market, even at its price point. When you compare it to the iPad, the screen alone, the hardware, of course, can take on everything that it's competing with, but the display is really the game changer here, folks. And if you don't see it with your own eyes, then you should look at other options. Of course, budget is the other reason really to look at other options, since this is right now one of the, this is that premium iPad price point of $499, at least at base. And if you want the 32 gigs of storage, as I mentioned before, you'll be stepping up to $549.99. The micro USB charger, you can see right here, fairly standard, nothing new, as well as the quick start guide, basic paperwork, and the wall adapter. So that's pretty much it. Recycled packaging as usual from Samsung, which is a good thing. I think that they do that, considering they sell more devices and make more devices than anyone in the world right now, pretty much. Especially when it comes to tablets. There's so many in their lineup, which is both good and bad. I think it's for consumers, it's confusing. But there's no question which one is the best right now. And I'm just waiting for a Note version of this. That is the device for me personally. But I have to say, I may be taken with this just on the display alone. Some people, again, will not really care about this. Even if they see the difference, they won't necessarily want to pay for the difference. But in my opinion, it is well worth it. And this is only going to go down in price, both this and the 8.4-inch version, like everything else. And that's where I really see the affordability of the AMOLED display business finally coming to fruition. It's taken long enough. Samsung promised this to us years ago, and now we're finally getting it. So it's really all a matter of what you're looking for in a tablet. If the display is what you care about, look no further, because you've got a larger display than the previous generation. If you're going to argue that it's already, of course, replacing the Tab Pro 10.1, which is what I would argue. It's just another price point, really, at this juncture, but it is another gen because of the display. The display is so critically important, especially today in a world where there's a constant pixel density race. But for me, it's always been about bringing Super AMOLEDs, or just AMOLEDs, I should say. Of course, that's Samsung's marketing, which is effective because no one else is making them really. But bringing AMOLED technology to our displays rather than just giving us more resolution, which was a really cheap fix for making things look better, rather than doing what they should, which was bringing us another generation of display technology. So a lot to like here, even though you're not getting anything really new in terms of the processor. I think there is really more to be said about this tablet than anything else on the market right now. So the only thing I'm really waiting for is, I said, a Note version, which I'm sure we will see eventually. And I just look forward to giving further impressions of this brand new 10.5-inch Super AMOLED driven device. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.